artBOS Episode 3. My first art delivery didn't feel like art. The thing about the first delivery is that it didn't feel like a test. If it had, I might have failed it. Adriana handed me the wrapped piece like she was passing me a sweater to return to a friend. Casual, no ceremony, no instructions beyond an address scribbled on the back of a receipt. "That one's small," she said, "easy." The word easy did a lot of work in that sentence. The canvas was wrapped in brown paper, corners taped clean, string knotted tight in a way that suggested someone had done this hundreds of times. It fit perfectly under my arm, balanced, manageable. Nothing about it felt risky. I remember thinking, this is it? This is what all the fuss is about. I left the gallery and turned onto Hanover Street, immediately swallowed by tourists. The heat was already rising off the cobblestones, the kind that makes the air shimmer low to the ground. I passed a pastry shop where the windows were fogged from ovens running since dawn. A delivery truck idled, its engine rattling like it might shake itself apart. I walked because walking made me feel legitimate, like I was part of the city instead of passing through it. The address took me out of the North End and onto the Orange Line, then off again. Then walking uphill through a neighborhood that felt older than its paint jobs. Triple-deckers stacked tight, porches sagging under the weight of years by the people who leaned on them. The hill got steeper the closer I got. By the time I reached the address, I was met with concrete steps climbing up the side of a house like an afterthought, narrow and uneven, disappearing toward a small porch at the top. I hesitated. There's a specific pause you do before something seems off. I shifted the canvas, tightened my grip, and started up. Halfway, I heard a voice. "Yo, you from the gallery?" I looked up. A man sat on the porch in a folding chair, legs spread wide, presence taking up more space than his body should have allowed. His clothes were enormous, like he'd borrowed them from someone twice his size. A baseball cap sat low on his forehead. Headphones rested around his neck, connected to a laptop on a small side table. 3 cell phones were clipped to his belt. A 4th was in his hand. "Yeah," I called up, lifting the canvas like proof. "The gallery." He nodded once. "Keep coming," he shouted. By the time I reached the top, my calves burned. The man didn't get up. He just looked at me like inventory. "You the new kid?" he asked. Yeah, I'm interning." He laughed, short and sharp. "I'm Big P." He didn't offer his hand, didn't ask my name. He reached out and took the canvas from me without looking at it, slid it behind his chair like it was a jacket he might wear later. Then he pointed to the only other chair. "Sit." I sat. A dog barked somewhere inside the house. Big P snapped his fingers toward the door. "Quiet." The barking stopped. He launched into conversation without warning. Stories jumped tracks mid-sentence. Names I didn't recognize. Threats delivered like jokes. Jokes delivered like warnings. I nodded when it felt right, laughed when it felt safer than silence. I kept waiting for him to look at the art. He didn't. After a few minutes, he said, "Hang out here a sec." "Sure," I said, not sure why. "Doesn't look right for people to pop in and out," he added. That sentence landed heavier than it should have. We waited. Time stretched in an uncomfortable way, the kind where you start counting breaths just to feel like you're doing something. Then I heard footsteps on the concrete stairs. A man in a construction vest climbed up carrying a brown paper bag. He nodded at Big P like they'd done this dance before. "You got what I want?" Big P asked. "Yeah." The bag changed hands. Big P opened it, leaned in, and inhaled deeply. His face broke into a grin so pure it almost felt out of place. "Yes," he said softly. "This is the real one." My heart kicked up. My brain ran through every bad scenario it could assemble in half a second. Big P reached into the bag and pulled out a bacon cheeseburger. He took a massive bite, chewed with his mouth open, closed his eyes like he was tasting a memory. "This," he said, pointing at it with greasy fingers, "is the shit." I laughed a beat too late. He waved me off. "You can take off now, kid. Tell Adriana Tuesday." "Okay," I said. Hope you enjoy the piece." As I started down the stairs, I heard him chuckle. That fucking kid is funny as fuck. On the train back, the city rushed past in flashes of graffiti and brick. I sat with my hands on my knees, replaying everything that had just happened, trying to figure out which part I was supposed to understand. When I got back to the gallery, Adriana looked up from the desk. "Hi, honey, how'd the delivery go?" "Good," I said, then hesitated. "He said to tell you Tuesday." She smiled. "Great. No follow-up, no curiosity." She moved on immediately, asking if I'd like an Italian sub she picked up earlier. Hungry, I accepted with thanks. That night, lying on the mattress, my brain finally latched onto the detail it couldn't let go of. The canvas. Big P hadn't looked at it, not once. And when I'd carried it on the train, when the car lurched when we rounded a corner, I'd felt something inside shift, not loose, not sliding, just present, like a second weight layered beneath the first. I hadn't imagined it. The art wasn't heavy. Something in the art was. The city outside the walls grew louder,